Hi everyone, I'm in my hotel room. It's a nice square box. It reminds me a bit of The Great Gatsby. It's really lovely. Um, I'm at Mayo Clinic in Rochester, Minnesota, not New York, and realized that a lot of people might not really know what to expect going to Mayo Clinic, and granted, yeah, for everyone it's going to be different. Um, this is my story. So, yesterday, I took the bus to the airport. It was a beautiful ride through the streets of Los Angeles. I got to the airport, checked in at the counter, and then was like, all right, time to go to security. As I was approaching the security checkpoint, I realized, oh, I have to get my note. It's a note from my doctor at UCLA that says basically that I can have liquids because I have a really weird condition when I swallow that really I can't swallow anything for certain aside from supplements most of the time. So I'm like digging through my bags. I get three. Uh, this produces looks of jealousy from other passengers. Either they're like, "Why does she get three?" Or they're angry, like she's so stupid. She doesn't know. Like she's only allowed one carry-on and one personal item. I'm well aware. I'm a little bit jealous of their situation, in that they do not have to carry an extra bag, lug that through the airport, or a checked bag. Um, that it's pretty fortunate, but at the same time I feel a little lucky because I don't have to waste money, excessive money, on gross airport food. So I found the note, yay, and as I was looking for the note, a bunch of people walked past me, and I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna be in long line now. Um, but as I was walking through the line, I saw this sign in the airport that said, "This line is for medical and disabilities only." So I was like, that's me. And I looked around to the security officers trying to like point in that direction, saying like, oh, this bag's for medical purposes. And as some officer far in the distance is yelling, move the line forward. And then like officers are trying to relay to one another, it's okay, like she's saying she has a medical bag. So they're like, oh, okay, like sneak under the rope. So I felt like a little bit sneaky. Ooh, went under, dipped under the rope. Um, Went through the line, and there was no line. Whereas on to my right, the line I would have been waiting in consisted of 50 people. So I was like, cool, score for having a weird swallowing problem that no one can figure out. Until I went through the detection, or I should say, until my bags went through the little screen, TV screen, and I'm waiting in the security line after I had passed that weird thing where you go like this and you have to like freeze for 3 seconds and creepy person's looking in another place, and that's just a little weird, but apparently they never make contact with you, so let's hope it remains that way. Um, I digress. So the security officer who looked at my bags looks at me looking around everyone like, who the heck has liquids in their bags? Like, don't they know they're not allowed to have liquids in their bags? I know. I remembered. Don't worry. So I approached my bags because I declared them as mine, and I said, those are mine. And I was reaching for them to reach for the note that indicated that this is why I have 12 bottles of supplement with me right now. Ooh, bad idea. I shouldn't have reached for that note. They said, don't touch that, don't touch anything, everything has to be checked. It's like, oh, great, thank you, Los Angeles Airport. Really appreciate your security measures. So, I stood back. I went to the special area to be screened. It's procedure if you're not, if they can't open your liquids, it's procedure to be fully screened. So the full pat down, and I was inquired. One of the officers inquired to me like, why does this note have a date on it? And I was like, well, this note was from a point when I was like living, studying abroad, couldn't get supplements readily available there, so this note is from them, but the condition remains the same. And where I'm going now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get stuff there conveniently. So they kind of agreed, looked at one another, nodded, then shuffled me over to the little like area where they're like, are you okay with a pat down? I was like, who's okay with a pat down? I mean, unless you want to get frisky at the airport, like, I'm not okay with it. But, like, if I say no, I think that could be a little bit more awkward. So I was like, yeah. And they're like, do you want it in public or private? Public. Like, of course I want it in public. I want everyone to see. Well, not really. But I did request to have it in public. And one of the things they ask before they give you a full pat down is, do you have any sensitive spots? I thought for a moment. I do have a sensitive spot. Thank you for asking. My sensitive spot is right here. This side, yeah. I'm a little dyslexic when it comes to the camera. And I said, yeah, actually I do. I had a device implanted there. It's no longer there, but I have nerve damage, yada yada. Please don't touch there. Ooh, I probably shouldn't have said please don't touch there, because once you tell them to not do something that they really kind of need to do, they're like, whoa, like red sirens all over, calling supervisor, like, what do? We can't touch the area, we don't run across this, oh my gosh, what is this? Is it a bomb? But I shouldn't say bomb in the airport, but I didn't, so I was okay. So I waited and waited. There was this nice European couple behind me speaking a language waiting with me. It was nice to have an audience slash friends for the moment. They didn't realize that they didn't need to wait. It was just me. Then, minutes later, they made their way through, and I stayed there waiting. While every single bag, even the ones that were cleared, the ones that didn't have liquids, every single bag, every single item was thoroughly checked. Even the stuffed animal. I know people hide things in those. And yes, I brought a stuffed animal. Gotta have friends at all times, right? So I waited. They got the message to their superior. Superior eventually comes after I had already gotten the full pat down front and back, except for that little area that I showed you before. They're like, what do we do? What do we do? Superior's like asking the same things. I'm like, please don't touch there. Like, if you touch there, anybody who touches there, it will cause the amount of pressure. Like, have you ever gotten like punched in the stomach or kneed in the stomach? Hopefully not. If you have, or maybe you can conceptualize the feeling of what that pressure is like before the pain comes. I feel that no matter how light or how rough someone touches me right in that area, it feels like I'm being like kicked in the stomach. Well, these people, they're not medical professionals, right? So I don't want them touching me, especially because I don't know what exactly they're going to do, even though they tell me. I don't know what amount of pressure they're going to use. And I don't want to have like a reaction in public. So I then suggested, well, I don't have a problem. If we go into a private room, I can lift my shirt up. I can show you the area. You can see that there's nothing there aside from the scar and stuff. And eventually that's what they decided. Okay, yeah, sure, we'll do. So I'm still shoeless, and since I decided to wear sandals because I thought that my sandals would be off for all of 32 seconds, I didn't have socks. And because I didn't have socks, I'm now walking across the airport to this room, not that far, while three other security officers, all those three, they take my bags. I cannot touch anything at this point. They place them in that room. And then this superior, again, asks me the questions. Can we do this pat down? I'm like, well, yeah. I mean, I'll just show you the area. And she's like, are you okay with that? And I was like, well, it doesn't seem like there's an easier way. She's like, well, yeah, yeah. So she told me, everything that she was doing as she was doing, and used the back of her hand. But still, it's like, I don't feel comfortable. Like, even if you tell me that you're touching me in weird places, just because you're using the back of your hand and telling me, it doesn't make me feel any less comfortable that you're touching me in places that a pure stranger, I don't know, should be touching. So, I obliged because that's what a non-terrorist, does. And, but I felt like it was very awkward, and that she was in this, position where she's, giving me a pat down, and there's another officer in the room watching, probably making sure, she's doing appropriate things, but also because what if I was flipped out? I don't know. Anyway, so the officer who had done the pat down then takes her gloves and says, I'll be right back, I need to check these, put them through the machine, make sure there's nothing on them. Okay, fine. Comes back and then says, put your hands like that. So I'm, standing up with my hands by my side, palms up. She swipes my hands. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Better be careful. I took the city bus today. Hoping that maybe I could sneak a joke in there somewhere. You never know with these folks. Well, 30 minutes into the ordeal, I think that's about how long it took. I did finally get the approval, even with dirty, grubby LA city bus hands, um, to move on past security into the airport. And I'm venting a little bit because I think that it's unknown how frustrating it is to have a medical condition that already holds you up in life, but then to be held up. Okay, this is still part of life, but even to be held up in things like at the airport. And I'm thinking to myself the whole time, like, there are 3 officers on me. Like, I want them to be on the floor searching for people who don't have a medical condition who are carrying liquids. Things like this. I mean, that's just my opinion. I do think that it would be great to not have a violation of my space because I have a medical condition. Um, I did also meet a friend on the plane, not somebody I actually know, but it was this very lovely lady who said that she had the fast pass. And I was thinking, like, I should get the fast pass for, going through the airport, and so this doesn't take forever. And then I heard her story, which is her husband walked through the metal detector thing. Husband has a hip replacement. Beep, 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 beep. And as it went beep, 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 they were like, sir, you beeped. And he's like, oh, I have a hip replacement. And they're like, you should have told us that before. Like, now you have to go through an entire pat down. This old man, who's like, very sweet, also had to endure a similar procedure because of a medical condition. And it's a little bit frustrating. So, I empathize with all who have to be held up for medical conditions, the airport especially. You just want to get where you're going or rest or whatever. And that was my first day through the airport journey. I talked on the plane to this nice passenger, and there was a man in front of us who carried a basketball full size on his lap the whole time. I think it was his special friend, and I said that to my special friend, my seatmate, because she was kind of like, why is he carrying a basketball? And I was like, maybe it's his pride and joy. And she's like, oh,